Welcome to my tutorial. I'm going to upgrade this denim jacket for myself. I got this denim jacket at a thrift store, and what I am so sick of is not having sleeves long enough for me. So I decided I am going to make these sleeves longer. So I have to cut some of the sleeve off in order to add some material into this jacket to make it longer. I didn't have everything planned out, but I had an idea what I was going to do to the sleeves. I also decided to take off the trim at the bottom. I call it a trim, whatever the part that's at the very bottom, because I think it makes it look edgier. Because I want this to eventually, have a distressed look as it gets washed. I really didn't work on the bottom part too much. It naturally kind of does it on its own. And I saved all of those pieces. And right here I have an extra large denim jeans that I got from the same thrift store. These are going to be part of my sleeve. And I know right here you can see that the leg part isn't even, but it does not matter that that's higher up in the leg and it's not even, because I'm not going to need all the material to make my sleeve. I just needed, just a different color to kind of contrast with the jacket. And then I'm going to just take what I need for the sleeve. I did do some measuring off camera here and there. So I basically know how long I want it to be. And then I added an extra inch and a half at least, because I have to account for a margin of error. And I also have to account for just sewing. It actually takes off, a quarter of an inch or more. So I have to think about all those things. And this is not the first attempt I had on making these sleeves. Of course, you don't see footage of that. So I did not want to ruin more jeans or waste more material. I had tried something with the first leg. And so this is the second leg I'm trying, because I had a lot of assumptions when I was making this. And it's always best to take the measurements and kind of think it through. But I am a impatient heads first kind of person, which is not the typical person for crafts. But yeah, so I decided to put this on an angle. So I did more measuring, because if this is a sleeve, it slowly gets smaller as it gets towards your wrist. So I started working on that. And so now I'm just preparing the sleeve to sew, which I don't have a lot of pictures of me sewing, but you get the point when you had just a straight stitch going right down the edge. So I'm just trying to keep the sleeves looking as alike as possible with my measurements. So I'm just doing a lot of extra checking, which is so very important. You want to have as little errors as possible. So I just keep checking. I'm finding little errors, so I keep trying to work on it. So I'm just trying to make them the exact same. It's best to kind of take your time and keep looking and looking, because the better you cut it, the best. And so I decided to add more of the other sleeve for the end, for the jacket. So the jacket's original sleeves are back, but I did not want the part that's the actual end. I want it to be open and a little bit crazy and just different. I don't want it to look like that. So in order for me to cuff the sleeve, I usually flipped one part inside out, and I cuff it over the part that's on the right side in, so that I can cuff the sewing machine and stitch it really fast and across it. It's pretty easy and simple. Flip one inside out, put it over it, and then do the stitch. I am trying to measure up the seam the best I can, but it is different material. It's jeans, and then that one's a jacket, but I still want to make sure that I put the seam where I want it to be. And these are pre-cut distress pieces and just denim pieces that I like to have on hand. I just keep them when I have extra and use it. And I decided to use these pieces, but of course I sewn the pockets, I sewn the sleeve together, so I have to use fabric glue for the pockets, but this fabric glue is permanent, so it's not a big deal. Let's put some cardboard in the middle of the sleeve, put some fabric glue on it. But my project is a little bit delayed because the fabric glue needs time to, to dry, and I don't want to push it. So I decided to just put the fabric glue on and wait the next day. Now I'm ready to jump into this next day and start putting the sleeves on. And so I did my inside out, and then I had to put the sleeve in right side in and pin that along the edge. But right here I did a lot more thought because I want to make sure the sleeve pocket is on the outside of the jacket. I don't want it under the arm. I don't want it in the front or in the back. I wanted it right on the outside going down the arm. So I had to pay attention to how I was pinning it. And just measuring up pretty good. At this point, I still wasn't sure what else I was going to do to the jacket after I put these sleeves on, but I didn't want to overthink the project. It was something that I have not saw before, and I just wanted to just get the main part out of the way and then have come up with some ideas for the back. I knew what I wanted to use for the back at this point. And this is pretty simple, just kind of cuffing it onto the sewing machine. Now the jacket was a pain in the butt trying to spin around, because as I was sewing it, I had to stop and turn the jacket around and around. So now the sleeves are done. Everything seemed to be pretty much the way I like it. I did try it on, and I realized that the jacket sleeves were still even a little bit long for me. Like, I just didn't want it to look too overpowering, but I did want them extra long, but they were at a point where they were just too long. So I'm gonna take just a smidge off. I'm disappointed because the edge was starting to look a little edgy, and now I'm about to give it a nice clean cut. But I know that with denim, as you wash it, it does get more edgier, so I'm not trying to overthink this part. I did kind of use the scissors afterwards and try to, rough it up a little bit. But it will naturally, without any help at all, get edgier. But, like I said, I'm just not too patient. So I'm like, oh, I wanted it edgier. But it will happen. Because I used fabric glue, and what I'm about to do next, I did not want to wash it. So I have to, it's already been pre-washed right after I bought it from the thrift store. So I'm just gonna have to just wear it for a little bit, give the fabric glue time to totally cement, and then what I'm doing to the back of it, I need time for that to adhere. I'm using fabric paint, and I got the fabric paint from, you can get it anywhere, literally. I think I got this off of Amazon, the Jaguar. You see Tulip back there too. But that was what I used to use for like 2 years. But I didn't know why I was using it. It was just a good price. It's like the cheapest fabric paint. But it's also a little translucent. And I find this paint that I use now, you just need one coating of it and it's fine. And as far as the stencil, I got this from my parents' house. I was doing a clean out, and they had so much extra stuff. And I have a lot of different stencils, but I didn't have this particular one where it's just simple letters. And so I have my little good vibes. And I'm not an artist. I do not draw no kind of way, but I got tired of just watching people doing things, and I just wanted to do stuff. So I took some household stuff that I have and traced a nice simple image with some tailor's chalk and just a couple of round objects and my ruler, and I decided I'm going to make a sun with a little bit of clouds, because to me that's the epitome of good vibes, the sun coming up out of the clouds. And so I took some yellow and white fabric paint. At first I started putting the white near the sun, and I didn't overthink it. I'm like, okay, I made a mistake. I just put some yellow over that later. And so I started painting the clouds white. But I did notice that that little error that I made with the white did help me out later on, because it's something that I didn't know. Like as I put on the yellow on the other parts of it, it looked translucent. It looked like green. Then I started to think, oh, yellow and blue make green. And I'm like, well, oh shoot. When I see people draw stuff, they usually paint it white before they start drawing and making things on it, because it's sort of a blank canvas. And so I realized the part that had the white paint on there, that looked nice and yellow. So I said, well, let me just mix up a separate batch and add just the white over it. And then I would paint yellow over that white. And I noticed that it was already giving me like a bright yellow in a lot of parts of it. So I'm like, okay, project saved. If you're a patient person and you don't want to mess up something, then you probably should practice on the side. But like I said, this is just for me, for my purposes. So I'm not putting, constraints on how it's supposed to look when I'm finished. This is for my wardrobe, for my liking. And I was just trying to get out of my comfort zone and try something different. I'm not an artist of any type at all, but I really enjoyed how this was coming out. So this is just a part of my spring wardrobe collection that I'm making for myself. Denim jackets, jeans, and my t-shirts that I'll be posting soon. Subscribe,